I think two things. One, in the Principal Act, the definition of remuneration covers any sort of kind, you know, and the actual thing is whether in cash or in kind, whether an employee receives directly or indirectly from the employer in respect of that employment. So it's a real catch-all. And I know, having argued it in the context of whether basic pay and conditions, what that means, whether that's the same as remuneration, and there are times that they are actually very distinct. Remuneration is a much wider definition when you're arguing it than basic pay and conditions. So within the remuneration, it is quite a broad church of inclusion. So I think when it comes to the regulations, specificity and reference particularly to the cases that were appealed to the Labour Court under the likes of the temporary agency worker, the outworking of the law in that lent itself to an elaboration of employment equality very, very well. So there are very fine pieces there that I think that could inform the regulations and would meet the concerns that Senator Higgins has without putting it. Because my concern, if we're too specific in legislation, then we run the risk that they introduce something else that we haven't covered. Whereas if you have, you know, insofar as some other benefit or something will be circumvented, because Christmas bonuses, for instance, are, depending on how it's worded in a contract, they're either included or not included. So you have to be so careful to make sure that comparable employees get it. So I think that idea of keeping it within remuneration, including anything in a broad church without being too specific, actually gives an opportunity for people like me to go in and argue that it either is or it isn't. But more often than not, to be fair, I think the Workplace Relations and Labour Court are more minded to include in favour of the petitioning body and the complainant. So that should give some comfort.
Thank you, Senator.